Okay, so 2 hours ago, just 2 hours ago, we're starting the fourth quarter right now. Washington dodged the bullet. They stopped the Eagles on fourth down. Don't ask me why the Eagles didn't try and kick a field goal to tie the game. I guess they're trying to tank. But right now, Washington is up 17-14, and they have the ball. Mike Nolan. Mike Nolan was asked about if, excuse me, Mike McCarthy was asked if Mike Nolan will be returning as defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. And what he said, I want to say exactly what he said. Let me pull it up. Mike McCarthy expects Mike Nolan to be the Cowboys defensive coordinator next season. And this is what he said, and you can read between the lines of this one. I think, like all of these things, myself included, these evaluations will start next week. We will sit down and have exit interviews with every player and every coach. So the fact that he didn't come out right away and say, oh no, Mike Nolan's coming back, we're good and everything else, to me, that kind of sets the whole table for him being released. Now, here's another interesting tad bit here. Sean Lee was asked, of course, hey, are you going to hang it up? Sean Lee says, then he said the same thing for about the last 2 years or so. He said, I still feel like I have a lot left to offer, but I love it here in Dallas. I love playing here and things like that. I'm going to sit down and over the next couple of weeks evaluate where things are. And I believe that the Dallas Cowboys will offer Sean Lee a position, not defensive coordinator. He's not ready to be a defensive coordinator just from literally coming off the football field. But I believe that 3rd and 1, they stopped him. I believe that Sean Lee will become a position coach for the Dallas Cowboys. I think Mike Nolan, I was thinking that if the Cowboys won, made it into playoffs, the defense played well, and let's be honest here, the Cowboys got, 12 takeaways in the last 4 games. That's huge. I mean, that equates, if you could have done that for the whole season, we would have had 48 takeaways, which, would have been incredible. When you think about last year, we had 18 takeaways on the whole season. The fact that we had 12 in the last 4 games is phenomenal. But it's just too much, too little, too late. And here we talked about earlier, Jalen Smith basically saying, hey, I look at myself. Nobody's harder on me than me. I'm always evaluating. I'm always working hard. But if you watch people who understand our scheme, that are in the know, that watch film, basically he's saying it's the scheme. And having Jerry Jones going on board and saying that Jalen Smith is a cornerstone and knowing that they owe him a big chunk of money, you got to have somebody be the fall guy. And it's going to be easy to say, Mike Nolan, you're the fall guy. Another thing that's in here that's interesting, 2nd and 7 for Washington, and they pick up 4. Another thing that's interesting is the whole Kellen Moore dynamic. One thing the Cowboys have always liked to do, and this is the first time this year that they didn't, is they like to hire somebody who is got that Cowboys pedigree, former players that have been in the system, former coaches. They'll bring in guys, they'll coach them up, and they'll keep advancing them in the system. With the Cowboys having the golden boy of Kellen Moore, Kellen Moore is like Jason Garrett. And Kellen Moore, I believe, in my mind, is being bred 3rd and 4, and Washington gets it. Kellen Moore is being bred to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Kellen Moore is in the position that Jason Garrett was in. Former Dallas Cowboys player. He wasn't a great player, but he was a former Dallas Cowboy player. He was one of the few people that they kept on the coaching staff for, he dropped that. They turned it, he dropped that. But another guy who's in the system that the Cowboys have an affinity for, and eventually I see him replacing Mike McCarthy. And that's the way I look at it. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that situation. Time will tell. But the other part about signing Kellen Moore, there's a flag. Okay, punt return. Another problem or view, it's not a problem, is Dak Prescott is truly in the mix for the Cowboys to bring back Kellen Moore because of that dynamic that is there with Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott. I believe that that's maybe the Dak Prescott influence in saying we want to keep these two together because they've worked together. So we're going to be looking at a lot of things. And the Cowboys, I know it's the end of the season, that it literally just ended a couple of hours ago. But these are decisions that you've got to make right now because you have to decide between now and the end of February on whether or not you're going to sign Dak Prescott to, a contract. And if you're going to sign him, you can't do it on a franchise tag because $37 million next year with a salary cap that may go down is going to be too cost prohibitive. And if the idiots out there that are saying there's no difference between Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton, I'm sorry. Andy Dalton made a few nice plays and stuff, but there's a lot of passes where he left a lot of stuff on the field because the passes are late. Guys having to stop and wait to come get it, or they're having to reach back. If he can start hitting guys in strides, they're going to be able to make plays. You're looking at screen passes that are just way off. It's not to say that Andy Dalton is awful. I'm not saying that. Andy Dalton, as a backup quarterback, came in and did some great things. But if you think that Andy Dalton is going to be the guy who is going to carry us to the Super Bowl, it's not. He's not. Today was a playoff game. And when you go back to Andy Dalton's 4 other appearances in the playoffs, he's got 1 touchdown and 6 interceptions. I think Hurts is hurt. Uh-oh. And Carson Wentz, uh-oh. Carson Wentz is not even on the active roster. Okay. Philly fans, your favorite only Eagles. How fan Hurts is hurt. Mr. Mark, Philadelphia has brought in Steinfeld a quarter. Well, they were actually talking about playing him in the second half. So did you see? I'm sitting here talking and reading this stuff, so I wasn't paying attention. It could, I don't know, maybe he's hurt, or maybe they're just saying, let's make a change. Dalton is a great backup. And see, that's the thing. I think Dalton is a really good backup. He might be good as a starter for some teams, but the way Cowboy fans are and look at things, there's no way in the world they're going to be satisfied with that guy. We only like a guy when we're scoring 50 points and nobody's scoring against us. Other than that, everybody needs to be fired. They don't have any patience. But I think that this means that Dak is coming back, in which case the Cowboys can now start negotiating a contract with him immediately. Season's over with. And you get that done, you figure out if Mike Nolan's going to be here because you got to figure out what kind of defense you're going to get and what kind of players you need for that system. So you're figuring out what players need to come and go. So it's interesting, but I think that this means Mike Nolan is out the door. And we'll find out probably the course of next week. They'll start doing the exit interviews, I would imagine, tomorrow. They'll probably have a team meeting and everything else. Guys start cleaning out the locker, and you get a 15-minute meeting with the coach and say, "Hey, we appreciate you, but we're probably not going to be bringing your ass back." And other guys, it's going to be, "Hey, we need you to do this, this, and this to get ready for next year." And Sudfeld, boy, almost took a sack in the end zone. And that's what we got. There's going to be a lot of guys like Tyrone Crawford, that's a free agent, that you're going to look at and say, we appreciate the ride. We love you, bro, but, the time has come. And this is where it gets to be hard, is letting go of guys. So that's where we are with that. Sounds like Mike Nolan is on the way out. So Hurts is on the sidelines. He looks fine. I know originally they were talking about playing Nate Sudfeld so that way they could see what they have with him. So I don't think this is an injury situation. I think this is all part of we're not trying to win this game. So that's what we got. All right, y'all.